Hi there, it's Alicia Taverner, licensed marriage and family therapist and owner of Rancho Counseling. So today I received a call from a gentleman who said, I found you on the internet and you were actually listed as one of the top 10 psychiatrists in Rancho Cucamonga. And so this brought up a couple things for me, and I just wanted to share those with you quickly. The first one is everything that we read on the internet is not always true. And the second thing is that I think as consumers, it's really important for us and for you to be informed about the letters and the licensing that go along in the field of psychology, especially if you're shopping for a therapist. So I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm actually a licensed marriage and family therapist. So after my names, I usually use the letters LMFT. And so that means that I attended a bachelor's program and then a master's program, and my master's program was in clinical psychology with an emphasis in marriage and family therapy. So that just means that I took a lot of courses in the field of psychology, but more specifically focused in clinical practice. So working with couples, families, individuals, and children. I also did 3,000 clinical hours after I earned my master's degree. And those hours were working face to face with various populations, individuals, families, couples, and children. And I was supervised by a licensed clinician who signed off on my hours and helped me through the process of learning how to be an MFT. Another license that you might commonly see is has the letters LCSW, and so that stands for Licensed Clinical Social Worker. And a social worker is very similar to an MFT in that the education is similar. They've done a bachelor's program, a master's program, clinical hours and exams, and then they've become licensed. The programs are a little bit different though, and the focus is a little bit different. So MFT is focused on the practice of therapy and interpersonal relationships. Social workers focus on they focus more on sociology and kind of the science of what happens for people as they are shaped by the world and how the world and society are shaped by the individual. And so social workers are sometimes focused on things like case management. They're the people that I love because they like to give resources to help everybody. They're kind of these connectors in the community, and they help people to obtain various services, and so I think it's just a beautiful thing. But they also are able to practice as clinicians and do therapy with couples, individuals, families, and children. Another license that you might see, or letters after people's names, is the letters LPCC. And so that stands for Licensed Professional Clinical Counselor. And so again, that path is very similar to an MFT and an LCSW. So there's a master's program, there's a bachelor's program, a master's program, and then clinical hours, licensing exams, and then they get those letters after their name. So LPCC is actually something that is known nationally. And when they first, I think they brought that license to the state of California because MFTs aren't recognized nationally. So my license is only good in the state of California. I'm only able to practice marriage and family therapy in the state of California because not all states have LMFTs. They don't all have that license status. So a while back when they brought the LPCC to California, the BBS, which is the Board of Behavioral Science who governs my license, offered to allow me to have the LPCC after my name as well if I was willing to do a couple extra courses. I opted not to because I plan to stay in the state of California probably until I'm old and gray. And so that license is similar. It's just recognized nationally. Something else that you might see is what that gentleman was calling about was a psychiatrist. And so a psychiatrist is very different. A psychiatrist is actually a medical doctor who has studied psychiatry. So they go to a bachelor's program, they go to medical school, and then they do a couple rotations in like a psych unit or on a psych ward. And so they're able to prescribe medication. And another license that you might see, or letters after people's names, is a PhD. And so that is a doctor of philosophy, a doctor of psychology, and so those people, their education looks a little bit different. It's a little bit longer. So they get a bachelor's degree. Sometimes they get a master's degree, but they don't have to. They can go from a bachelor's degree to a doctoral degree program. And so that's about 5 years usually. They usually do 4 years of in-class coursework, and then the last year they do a clinical rotation, which means that they're working with the population that they're interested in studying. And so PhDs tend to do a lot of research. They are kind of who informs us clinicians who are in the field practicing in psychology. They do a lot of the research on individuals, on human behavior, on various things in the field of psychology to inform us who are practicing. There's also a PsyD, who is also a clinical psychologist. Those letters are PSYD, and so that looks similar to a PhD. However, the person studies more of the clinical practice, and so they are a doctor of the clinical practice of psychology. There also might be several other letters after people's names, and so even being in this field, I can tell you sometimes I'll see LMFT and then I'll see additional letters, and I don't always know what those mean. Like for example, they usually stand for something that's a specialty, but my best advice would be for you to just ask. If you don't understand what the letters after someone's name is, I'm sure that they're happy to tell you. They've worked long and hard to get those letters after their name, so I'm sure they're not going to be hesitant to share with you what that means. And so I think it's really important as consumers that we understand who it is that we're calling on the phone when we're looking for counseling services. So I hope that's been helpful in informing you about the letters after all of the names in psychology. Again, there are several more that I didn't list in this video, but just reach out and ask questions if you don't know. Be an informed consumer. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk with you again soon.